Shalom, welcome to this show of MTV Jr, where we have the greatest kids show where you can win prizes, hear great stories, take a tour of just amazing places and learn so much and have so much fun. So we're ready to start our first show here, and I want to introduce myself as we do on every single show. My name is Uri Pilichowski, and this is my family. You can see my beautiful wife in the red skirt over here standing next to me, and my 6 lovely children. I have 5 daughters and 1 son. You can see him standing in the middle. He's the only boy besides me in the picture. We have a wonderful family. We have lots of fun together. And let me show you where we live. We live in a place called MTV Jr. If you look over here, you could see a red balloon, and that is where in Eretz Yisrael, that's where we live. You see the red balloon there on the map of Eretz Yisrael, right outside of Yerushalayim. That is where we live. But let me show you, not just on a map, but let me show you a picture of how beautiful the place is where we live. This is if you walk out onto my porch, this is what you see. Look at the beautiful mountains, the sun shining on the mountains. It is a beautiful place, like so many places in Eretz Yisrael. It is absolutely beautiful. And I live in a place called, you can see it written right above me, MTV Jr. You can see that, and that is in Israel. Okay, let's talk about what's going to be on today's show. First of all, I know what your favorite part is. You can win raffle tickets. And depending on how many raffle tickets you win, that is how likely you are to win a prize. Okay, we give out prizes every week, so we want you to win a raffle ticket, and you're going to need pen and paper and write down exactly all the answers to the questions and the games that we're going to play, and then you will be able to win a raffle ticket. That is what we're going to do today. Today we're going to take a tour of a Beit Knesset. That's Hebrew for shul or synagogue. How long has it been since you've been in a Beit Knesset? Now you're going to be able to see not only a Beit Knesset, my Beit Knesset here in Israel, but you're going to be able to see the different parts and what happens inside of a Beit Knesset. We're going to show you. We're going to take a special trip to a Beit Knesset today, and we're going to tell a story, a really touching story. This will be a great story about a poor person and how you can make a poor person feel absolutely great. And we're going to have the Hebrew word of the day today. We're going to learn a special Hebrew word, and if you write it down and send it to me, then you will get a raffle ticket, and with a lot of raffle tickets, you can win a prize. Okay, so here we go. So first thing we're going to do this morning is we're going to listen to a story about how you and everybody you know can make poor people feel so great. Are you guys ready for this story? This is an incredible story. Okay, and we have to go, in order to get to the story, I have to go to my special story room. Let's go, here we go. See you guys in a minute. Watch this great story. I have a great story for you today. This is a really good story. It's a true story, and it's something, a mitzvah that you can do to make somebody feel amazing. And I have to tell you, there is no greater feeling that you can have inside than making somebody else happy. Now, you're not seeing the most important part of what the scene behind me is, what this picture is, but I'm going to tell it to you soon. Have you ever been walking on the street? You're walking on the street and you see somebody who's very poor. They don't have enough money. And maybe they're sitting out on the street and they have a cup. And they ask people to give just a few coins into their cup so that they'll have enough money to buy food. Maybe they don't have a job. Maybe they're sick. Maybe their job doesn't pay enough money and they don't have enough money to eat. That's called in Hebrew, in ani, in English, a poor person. And it's very sad, but we try to help them out by doing what mitzvah? You all know the answer to this. By doing the mitzvah of tzedakah, of giving them some money, okay? Sometimes we can give them a lot of money. Sometimes we don't have a lot of money to give them, and we just give them a coin. We give them a dime, a quarter, a shekel, whatever it is that we have in our pockets, we give them. But we always try to help them. Now, there are two, that's what's happening in this picture.
This person right here is a poor person. They're in ani. And this man over here, let me go over here, this man is helping them out by giving them some money. Now, imagine if we could tune in and listen to what was happening. I'm going to tell you two different stories. One is somebody by the name of Reuven, and the other is somebody named Shimon. Reuven and Shimon were walking from two different directions in a city that looked just like this. And Reuven and Shimon ran into a poor person just like this. Now, Reuven and Shimon didn't know each other. They were walking from opposite directions. They didn't even see each other, and they weren't even walking at the same time. Reuven was there 10 minutes before Shimon. And Reuven came, and he was walking, and he was in a very big rush. He had a lot to do that day, a lot to do. And so what he did was he was walking, and he was very troubled, and he wasn't looking where he was going. He was not looking where he was going. And he was walking, and he almost tripped over the poor person. He didn't see them. And his mother had always told him, when you see a poor person, you have to give them money. So he almost tripped over them, and he was in such a rush. He was very upset. He said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "Oh, my mother's lesson. My mother told me I always have to give money." So he reached into his pocket, and he pulled out some money, and he threw it at the poor person. He said, "Why don't you be more careful where you're sitting?" And he went away. The poor person was shocked. He was so first of all, he almost got stepped on. That was very scary. And then this man yelled at him and threw money into his cup. Very strange. He's very happy to get the money, but he felt very bad that he was yelled at and he wasn't talked to in a nice way. So he felt very bad about that. Now, 10 minutes later, after that happened, the poor person, right, was still very upset about what happened, and his feelings were hurt. And then Shimon comes walking from the other way. And Shimon comes, and he's walking very slowly, being very careful where he walks, and looking around to make sure that he's not stepping on anybody. And he sees the poor person from far away. And he reaches into his pocket, and he realizes he only has one coin that's only 10 cents. It's only a dime. It's not that much money. It's not going to really make a difference to this ani. He feels very bad that he doesn't have more money to give, but he doesn't have his wallet with him. He doesn't have anything. So he comes up to the poor person, and he sits there and he says, and he doesn't stand over them. He bends down to be even with them and sits down next to the poor person. And he says, "Hi, what's your name?" "My name is Shimon." Poor person tells them their name. And Shimon says, "I want you to know, I'm really sorry that you're in this position, that you're poor right now. But I know that soon, it could be, Hashem's going to make your life better. And I wish I had enough money right now to make your life better. But right now, I didn't bring so much money with me. All I have is a small coin. So I'm going to give you this coin, and I'm going to hope that you have a great day. And I hope that things turn around for you, and you become much better off, and you have enough money to always feed yourself and anything that you need." The poor person was so touched. It made him feel so good, so good. And even though Reuven had given more money when he made the poor person feel worse, the poor person was happier with Shimon, who gave him very little money, because Shimon made him feel good. And in the Gemara, they tell this story, and they say that somebody that gives money to a poor person gets 6 brachot from Hashem. But somebody that gives a poor person money and makes them feel good by saying something nice to them gets 11 brachot from Hashem. And the Gemara says it's more important to make somebody feel good than to give them money. That's a very important lesson about how crucial, how important it is that we make other people feel good. And that when we see a poor person, we not only give them money, but we say to them, "Hey, might not be good for you right now, but soon it's going to be good." Or, "I know you're a great person," or, "I'm so sorry what you're going through now, but I'm gonna daven for you. I'm gonna pray for you, and I hope that things turn around." That making the person feel better, telling them they should have a great day, that is so important. What a great story, and what an important message. Shalom.
Okay. Wow, what a great story. I really like that story. You like that story. That was a really fun story. Okay, so now let us hold on. I got to get out of my story room here and get back to my fun room right here. And we are up to the next part of the show, and that is ready for this? The word of the day. Now, you have to get your pen and paper. Okay, you ready? And when I say the word of the day, then you write it down and send it to me. I'll show you where to send it. But first, here's the word of the day. It is niyar. Niyar means paper. Niyar is paper. And right, we use paper all the time. We draw on paper. We use paper for school, right? Paper is something that we use all the time. And that is the word of the day. So write down the word niyar, nun yud resh. Write that down and send it to me. And where, oh, wait, I have to tell you where to send it to. Hold on, here we go. This is where you send it, to this email address. If you send it to this email address, maybe you need your parents' help, but that's okay. Send it to this email address, and then I will send you a raffle ticket. And when you have raffle tickets, then you can win lots of stuff. Okay, now we are going to take a special tour of a Beit Knesset. And the reason why I want to take you on this tour is because it's been so long since we've been on in a Beit Knesset. I thought this would be really great. So let's go over to the Beit Knesset. Okay, and let's go on our tour. Here we go. Shalom. Today, we're going to go on a trip to a shul. That sounds a little weird, but we're not just going to go to a shul like everybody goes to a shul. We're going to go inside and see the most special parts of the shul. We're going to learn about a shul. And for some of us, it's been a really long time since we've been inside a shul. And that's what's going to be so special about this. But we're going to go on a show when no one else is there so we can make noise and we can explain what everything is without having to worry about disturbing everybody who might be in the middle of praying, in the middle of davening. So are you ready to come with me inside a show? Let's go. Okay. The first thing that we're going to learn about inside a shul, a Beit Knesset, is the Bima. Now, this Bima has plastic around it. Most do not because of COVID, and they want to make sure that people's breathing doesn't go too far. But imagine if the plastic wasn't here. You can see the Bima has like a fence all around it. You can see it goes all the way around it, and two openings. One on this side. You can pull it over here. You see right here there's an opening, and one on this side, okay? When you come up to the Bima, on the Bima, this is the Bima here. When you come up to the Bima, you come to read the Torah. That's why you come here, to read the Torah. They put the Torah right here. Right here instead, right now, there's a Tanakh, which is the entire Torah in a book. But there's a Sefer Torah. Okay, this is, you can see there's an entire Torah in a book, but they bring a Sefer Torah out here, and the Baal Koreh, the one that reads, stands here and he reads the Torah. When you come up in the Bima, you come up on one side, and then you go out on the other side. And that is a way of honoring the Torah by not going in the same way and by not going out the same way that you came in. And we come in, and when you see them reading the Torah on the Bima, there are three people, sometimes more than three people, sometimes four people. There's the Gabbai, and then there's another Gabbai. Those are the people that call people up to the Torah, and they say that we're going to honor this person. He gets to come up and make the brachot on the Torah. And then there's the person reading the Torah. They stand right here. And there's the person that makes the brachot on the Torah. And this is supposed to be just like Har Sinai. And the Gabbai and the person that reads the Torah and the other Gabbai, they represent Moshe, Bnei Yisrael, and Hashem. Hashem gave us the Torah, Moshe taught the Torah, and Bnei Israel learned and then followed the Torah. That's the Bima. Get ready, we're going to go to the next part of the shul. Okay, for the next part that we're going to learn about the shul, you can see it right over there. This is where the Chazan stands, okay? And the Chazan has his own place to stand. He stands here. You can see he has a siddur here. Here they put two siddurim.
okay? And the chazan stands here. The entire shul is behind him, okay? And the chazan stands here. And if you look, it seems like because the Aron Kodesh, which we're going to see soon, is in front of us, it looks like the chazan is low. And that's true. The chazan has to be low down, lower than everybody else, because in Tehillim, it says, Shir Hama'alot Mimamakim Karaticha Hashem, that we call out to Hashem from low down. And that shows us that we understand that Hashem is really powerful and we are really low down. So the chazan stands in a lower place. Some shuls even have, ours doesn't, but on the ground, it even has a place where they dug a hole. Some places, in some shuls in Europe have where they dug a hole and the chazan is really low down, much lower than everybody else. But the chazan stands here and he calls out the different parts of davening, the end of each paragraph of davening, so that people can follow along, and he leads the tefillot. That's the chazan, and this is where he stands. And now I want to show you one other special place. This is where the Rav sits. The rabbi of a shul has a special seat just for him. Everybody else might have a seat they like to sit in, but nobody is allowed to sit in the rabbi's chair. And the reason why the rabbi has his own special place in every single shul is because that's how we give kavod to the rabbi. Why do we give honor, kavod to the rabbi? Because he knows the Torah and he can teach us the Torah. You ready for our next stop in the shul?
Watch this.
Okay, the next place we're going to go is also called the Bima. And you can see there's steps that lead up to it. And we go up the steps to the Aron Kodesh. Each shul has its own different Aron Kodesh, and they're always very special. They're always decorated in a beautiful way. And you can see the Aron Kodesh behind me is decorated in a very, very pretty way. And if you're standing at the Aron, the whole shul is right behind you. You can see that. There's a lot of light out there, but the whole shul is right behind us because the Aron is always in the front and always high. And inside the Aron, I'm sure this Aron is locked. Let's see if it is. Maybe not. Oh, it's not. Let's see. Okay, so you open up the Aron. This is called the parochet. The parochet is like a cloth, okay, that's in the top. And you can open up the parochet like this, and then there are doors. You open up the doors, and this door is probably locked. Okay, here you have locked doors, but behind here is the Sefer Torah. And every shul has something just like this. Somebody comes up when it's time to read the Torah, and they open up the Aron Kodesh, and then when they're done reading the Torah, they close it, they make sure it's closed, and then they'll close the parochet to make sure. And this is a way of showing honor, kavod to the Torah, because things that we really care about and we really want to show honor to, we hide them, like jewelry or money or things that or fancy paintings that we really, really care about. We don't leave it out where everybody can see it. We keep it hidden, and that's what we keep in the Torah. We guard it by keeping it in the Aron Kodesh inside here. And every single shul has an Aron Kodesh. Okay, one last thing. This is where if the rabbi is going to speak and he's going to teach to the whole shul, right? So this is where he stands and he teaches the entire shul. Okay, before we leave the shul, I want to just teach you a couple of special laws, halachot, special Jewish laws that we have in a shul that you don't really have anywhere else. Okay, some of those laws are designed, they're meant to make sure that we treat the shul like a very special place. So for instance, you're not supposed to talk to anyone in the shul unless it's about davening or about the Torah, but you're not supposed to ask somebody, hey, do you know what the score of the baseball game was last night? Or, oh, let's go to your house and play afterwards. When you're inside the shul, the only thing you should be doing is davening or learning Torah, something that has to do with mitzvot. But just having conversations you shouldn't have. You're not supposed to eat in a shul. You can't eat in a shul, because by eating in a shul, what that makes it look like, as if you're like, oh, it's like a dining room, but a shul is not a dining room. A shul is a very, very special place. That's another law. No eating or drinking in a shul. But you know who's allowed to eat and drink in a shul?
If you're a big Talmid Chacham, if you really know the Torah really well, and you always study the Torah, you never waste a minute. If you have a minute free time, you're not on your cell phone, you're not playing a game, you're not just talking, but you're always learning Torah, then we don't want a person to have to leave the shul and stop their learning to get something to eat. We'd rather them continue eating in the shul so they're allowed to. Another law of a shul that a lot of people don't know is that when you leave a shul, you're supposed to walk backwards out of kavod for the shul. You walk backwards and walk out backwards as opposed to turning your back, right? If somebody turns their back, that's not a way of showing honor to whoever you're doing. So you walk backwards outside of the shul. Those are just a couple of the laws of a Beit Knesset, of a shul, on our trip today to the Beit Knesset. I hope you enjoyed. Shalom.
Okay, that was a great trip and tour of the Beit Knesset. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, here we go. And let's see here. Okay, we are now going to go, we know this already, and we're going to go to winning another prize by, what we're going to do is we're going to say 5 words. We're going to say 5 words, and if you can repeat those 5 words and tell me the 5 words, write them down, send them to me in an email right here, and if you say the 5 words, you remember them, you write them down, send them to me in an email, you can win raffle tickets. Are you guys ready? So I'm going to say 5 words. I'm going to say them slow. Okay, I'm going to say them slow. Then I'm going to say them a little faster, and then I'm going to say them slow again. So this way you have a chance to remember all 5 words. Okay, here we go. You guys ready? Okay, the first time we're going to do a little slow. Shul, Bima, Chazan, Rabbi, and Sitter. Okay, now I'm going to say them quickly. Shul, Bima, Chazan, Rabbi, and Sitter. And now I'm going to say them slow again. And write them down, send them to this email address, and then you can get a raffle ticket. Here we go. Shul, Bima, Chazan, Rabbi, and Sitter. Okay, now we're going to end our show with the last chance, and you can win 2 raffle tickets. All you have to do is send me to this email address. All you got to do is send me the name of this week's Parsha. If you can send me the name of this week's Parsha to this email address, then you can win 2 raffle tickets. Now, before we go, I want to remind you that every week in Shul, you have these newsletters that have games that you can win prizes with, jokes, Divrei Torah, so that you can learn about the Parsha, or you can learn about Eretz Yisrael, you can learn about mitzvos, all these things you can get on the newsletter. So don't forget to get your copy, or tell your parents to pick up a copy in Shul, or to get it out of their email, because it comes out every single week. That's this week's show, everybody. I hope you had a great time. I hope you liked it. I hope we'll see you next week right here, the same channel. Shalom, shalom.